And I know Gary has told me that you had a moment of silence already, which is appreciated. Some of you may not know that 4S is also, if you don't know what happened, over 100 people were killed and in multiple attacks, and that's all I know, but in Paris, France, just today. So 4S is the main sponsor of the Ethnograph Film Festival in Paris, France. So we've been going for about 3 years now, and earlier this year we had solidarity because we have a theater there which is very vulnerable, but we stood with the folks at Charlie Hebdo, and now it's happened again, so it's terrible. And the only thing that I'm very certain about, again, since I don't know what has really happened, but I'm just finding out, is that the people in Paris want us to go ahead with our situation here and to have fun and to go ahead and to think of them, think of their losses, and this is what we will do in honor of them. And we're going to have our festival again next year, and we're going to stand with them. So, now, some of you have already got the announcement through email that these heads that are on the tables are for sale, and so we would like you to purchase them in support of the high school. The heads were made by the students at Lee High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It happens to be, I don't know if I should say this, but it's probably the worst public high school system in the United States. Not known for great public high school, and they do a great job at this high school. So they made these heads for us. If you care to purchase one, they are, I bought one, Gary has bought one already. They are $50. You take the number next to there's a number underneath the head, and you take the number, and then you give it to Susan, the woman in the red jacket, red velvet jacket here, also my partner, and then you go back to your table, and then you may pick it up at 10:30, and you have to pay. That's the only proviso. There's an ATM right there. Okay, so that's the long and short of it. And before I sign off here, please visit the installations as you go and you eat dessert, and before we start our program, visit the installations. Otherwise, the freak women are never going to do this again. And so this is the social media installation. This is the GMO installation, and this is the trapped in society tent. Okay.
Wait, stop.
No, I didn't get it. Where is the fire alarm when I need it?
Hi, my name is Angie, and Susan and I. I apologize, but I did not get any synopsis made for my installation. But this one over here is Monsanto with the GMOs, and you know what Monsanto does, and with the organics. So it's just a juxtaposition against each, individual. And then we have refineries shooting up smoke and stuff in the air. And then we've got marijuana. Can we smoke it? Can we not? And all the while, we're so concerned about what we're eating, but we're breathing this horrible stuff. So this one is called Air We Breathe. This one in the back is also called erosion. This one you see people, they're just sitting on a bench. They're not even connecting to what's going on around them. Moms watching dad walk off to work. Is he going to work because he likes to be a success? Does he need to make the money to keep up with the Joneses, that shallow life? And all the while our businesses are eroding and mom's drowning in a shallow pool while the children are sitting trapped, okay? And as we go around, of course, we're from New Orleans, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, and Lake Charles. We're concerned about the erosion. So this is my erosion where the cranes are coming out, and so this one is entitled Erosion. And this one in the corner over here is all about social media. This one, the children at Lehigh got really invested in this one. And so what I did was I said, think about when you go out to dinner. No one talks anymore. They're all looking at their cell phones. Go anywhere. They're walking down the street, no one's even paying attention. And as an artist and photographers and all the while, scientists, sociologists, we need to look around and observe what's going on. And so I challenge you to look around. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. What did you say? Anyway, I'll finish up with this. I want the kids to be challenged and look around and use the World Wide Web and the social media for what it is there for and not become a crutch. Thank y'all and have fun.
A forum within for us where that discussion can go on. In a way, I already alluded to it in the remarks that I made earlier. So we want to acknowledge that this is with us, but it's with us in its contested. The contested question is what we need to make of these events and how we want to respond to them. So with that said, we would like to reclaim this event still as a recognition of the 40th anniversary of 4S, and also, very importantly, as a recognition of Wes Schrum. I have to say that it's really, really difficult to recognize Wes Schrum without being silly. It's just really difficult. So we have to kind of hold these things together in their disconcertments, and we really appreciate everybody kind of staying with us, but also knowing that we recognize that there's a lot else with us here tonight. And so then I will turn it over to Eric.
Are you people okay with that? I mean, it is important to recognize we've just introduced a different kind of diversity in this room. We have to recognize it as a society. We are not a one voice here, but we have to address it. At the same time, one among us spent 27 years of his career devoting his days, his nights, even skipping morning around to serve us, to help us. The program tonight is really meant to be a celebration of Wes. And in the middle of the preparation for that process, it occurred to us that, oh, Jesus Christ, it's the 40th meeting as well. So there's a brief celebration of the 40th, but the real celebration is of this man, of this scholar, of this man among us who embodies in a way us all. And you'll see that we figured out a couple of different ways to do that. So my apologies, our apologies to anyone who might feel made invisible by us continuing with the plans of the program. It is to ensure that Wes gets his due. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to figure out how, as a society, does this quote-unquote collective we that isn't a we respond. And we're in active discussion about how to proceed. So thanks very much, folks. Okay, folks, can I have your attention for 15 minutes? I want to talk about a friend of mine. Clearly, the best way to celebrate the 40th meeting of the Society for Social Studies of Science is to acknowledge the contributions of that scholar who has most embodied the infrastructure of 4S. With all of his spars and trusses, stringers and deck work. This picture, actually Wes really loves. I think Bruno took it. It's a picture of Wes drafting the minutes for a council meeting, sitting on the steps of the Banquet meeting. 18 months ago, I met Wes outside this hotel and walked into the hotel with him, where we were greeted by the hotel's meetings planner. And this meetings planner had been on the job for about 2 weeks or so. Now Wes, he arrived without a copy of the contract. And he hadn't even reviewed the contract that he had signed 2 years earlier. And I was a little bit worried. So the planner kind of dug out of her pile of paperwork, she dug a copy of the contract out and she handed it to Wes, and we started walking. So the two of them walked and I followed along behind, with my pad taking notes as the ethnographer. For the next 45 minutes, I followed them around every single one of these meeting rooms. And Wes, on the fly, as he walked through, he paged through the contract, he read the contract, he examined all the rooms, he identified all the areas of contention, and in the process, he taught this woman her job. He explained to her the questions that she should be asking him. She was very attentive and she started to take notes. Wes gained commitments for extra rooms at no cost. He extracted commitments to reconsider some existing terms in the contract that he had just realized while we were walking around and paging through that maybe wouldn't work. and they did involve, as they often do, the issue of sleeping rooms and food and beverage requirements. But in those 45 minutes, the meeting was basically finalized. The terms were set, and then he and I sat down to a lunch that was free because he just had arranged it. The word virtuosity here, it doesn't do justice, it seems to me, to the performance that I had just witnessed while conducting my participatory ethnography of 4S meetings infrastructure work. I came away in awe, and knowing that I was going to be here, I was kind of worried about this man having a heart attack or something else that might prevent him from continuing. I still worry about that. Professor Wesley Schrum. Honors, undergraduate degree in sociology with additional concentrations in philosophy and English, summa cum laude at the University of Kansas. Professor Schrum took his master's and his PhD in sociology at Princeton University, after which he took the job at LSU in 1982 and has been there ever since, professor of sociology for quite a long time now. He founded the LSU Video Ethnography Lab in 2005, and since 2013 he's been the executive director of the Ethnography Film Festival, which 4S co-sponsors. Tonight, we celebrate and we honor his infrastructural scholarship as Secretary-Treasurer for 27 years. Dave Detch appointed him from 1987 to the year 2013. He bailed out on me. Professor Schrum is the author or editor of 8 books, including the forthcoming Introduction to Video Ethnography, which he's co-authored with Greg Scott. He's the author of 97 scholarly articles and book chapters. Every summer he goes to Kenya, to Ghana, and Kerala, India, and has been doing so for, I think, more than 20 years, examining the discontents of development work, with one particular area of emphasis being internet connectivity. And although internet connectivity has been a major initiative of international aid communities for more than 2 decades now, Professor Schrum has rigorously documented and analyzed just what has counted as connectivity at universities, at research institutes, and as you might suspect, it's nothing like what one might experience in Euro-America. Since 2003, Professor Schrum has been a filmmaker. He's now the creator of 16 films. The 2007 ethnic conflicts in Kenya motivated a film called Brother Time. It's a mythic account of a friendship that turns into a conflict in which, based upon the ethnographic research that was done prior and motivated the development of the narrative, it helps us understand when it is brother time and when indeed it is not. Secretary-Treasurer from 1987 to 2013. Perhaps one measure of his accomplishment in nurturing this society into an organizational, a society that has organizational, financial, and indeed a kind of intellectual stability, which means that we can fight with one another in ways that are productive. They're indicated by the fact that it took an ampersand to replace the hyphen in Secretary-Treasurer. thanks to Steve and Paige. Viva could not be here this evening, although he's been sending me emails. He wants to know exactly what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And he sent me a long text from which I pulled a few bits. He cares. He cares deeply about this man. He reminds us of Wes has 10 commandments of scholarly work. The second commandment is, thou shalt not accept prizes or awards. You may suspect that he and I have had some conversations about that. But his point is that it replaces what he judges to be the intrinsic evaluations and rewards of scholarship. Wes's intrinsic motivation, as Viva put it, is indeed to serve the society, and he has been serving the society, especially, as all of us who have been president know, by serving the president. Karen could also not be here this evening. Karen writes, Wes has been enormously generous in his advice and help when I was president. Like David Edge, staying in the background and doing everything. And he's hot to look at. A spectacle. I miss him, Wes, the cool soul of Florence. And Wes, I will say for myself, I cherish a friendship that began in Amsterdam when a group of us went out to the Bulldog and discovered that we had so much in common that we decided that we had gone to different schools together. And then our hash was stolen. We bought more. I love you, my friend. As Viva put it, Professor Schrum, we recognize the professional values that you cherish. We want to celebrate them, and we want to celebrate your service. And we're going to do so in ways that kind of map across the whole range of, I'll say it, called academic performance, in which you yourself have engaged. So let's swing a dance. These are Viva's words. Let's sing a song. But I have to ask you folks, give us a few minutes. Tonight is for Wes.
Her hair is soft and her eyes are so blue. She's all the things a girl should be, but she knows not. She knows just how.
My partner Susan was going to come up and say that we've been together for 17 years, but we have been together for 27 years, so...
You were his first love. Always tell me.
So
was
we-
basically my speech, but I wrote like 2 paragraphs and I lost it, and I said I might get that there without my speech. But it's basically that he loves you, and I'm going to tell you right now, he has, ever since I have been with him, he really, oh my God, I go on these site visits with him sometimes, and he will argue for your price of coffee for an hour. An hour. Until he beats the person down, and then they're thinking, okay, I'm going to get him on the next one. And then for another hour, negotiating the club sockets, which they want to charge $175 per room on top of the room charge. But he doesn't let that happen. He doesn't get so crazy. I got it. And he takes care of you. That's what I'm telling you. He takes care of you.
Okay. Honestly, it's more comfortable sometimes in 6-inch heels. So, we're going to switch to a little PowerPoint now, and Gary told me to develop, to pass on the knowledge, so I should give you my top secretarial lessons since 1987. Bruno taught me not to ever need a PowerPoint, and I don't need a PowerPoint. So I think the way to do this is very quickly, just a few slides, and then we'll be done. In 1987, David Edge appointed me, but I'm not going to use names. No names. 1988, we went to Amsterdam. That was my first meeting as secretary. The president said, "What do we do now?" And I said, "I thought you knew what's going on." So that was the time where things developed. Now, Gary's already told you the other story, so I don't need to belabor that. So I really have to mention 1994. Sal, are you here? But I wasn't going to name names. The Unabomber meeting in New Orleans, 1994. We had a series of short articles in ST&HB on when the FBI came to the 4S council meeting after Bruno Latour had slept in my room, not with me, but just, but the night before. And the FBI stayed in the room while the 4S had a council meeting. Were they listening? I wouldn't know, but I would suspect. And we had a discussion of the Unabomber's letter, which was the only letter, the only clue that they had for the serial killer until he published his manifesto. And the letter began, I'm interested in science and society, and I would like to submit my dissertation on the relation between scientific funding in the field and public interest in that. That was the only clue the FBI had about the Unabomber. And I said, I think you guys should come to 4S and see what's happening.
Oh, God.
And so, it was an early hoodie lesson. Because they did have one other clue. They had a little sketch, a little FBI sketch of the Unabomber, which looked terrifyingly like some of us. And I don't think I was the only one. Trevor kind of looks like you too. So no, this is the one serious one. It's the only serious point. They're all lessons, but I just think this was a really good one, which I learned pretty early, about 1994, which is take the blame. And notice that I'm not saying accountability. There's nothing about accountability here. I'm just taking about blame. Take the blame. Because you can take your blame, or you can take blame that's going to someone else. But honestly, it makes things move forward. And that's a good thing. And so once, you get hung up in this stuff, like just go ahead and say, hey, oh, my fault, I did it. Doesn't matter if I did it. Okay, 1999, I'm just randomly pulling a year here because you learned this repeatedly, that irrevocable policy decisions will be revisited and often reversed within 3 years, because that's the length of a council term. Now, we can change that time period, but I don't think we'll change the phenomenon. Okay? Shut up. Shut up. I'm not talking to you, I'm just talking to myself, because that's a good lesson, just to shut up, because people do not always want to know the future as it has turned out in the past. I just thought of that today, so I can accept the clapping on that. I thought, I'm going to remember that. All right, now to 2002. Gary did a great introduction there, because really, I think things changed for me in 2002 when I realized that we didn't have any money. We didn't have any money. And so I was like writing an email to Viva Biker. I was writing an email to him saying, do you think we can have like $28 so that we can get an internet connection in order to keep the society running? And I thought, no, that's not good. That's not really good. And so for the past 10 years, I think, maybe more than 10 years really, I've been spending sort of learning how to become a meetings planner. And so if I need another career, I think that's where I'm going to go. Because really, there's a couple of downsides. One is that you don't ever get to go to sessions, so you don't really know what's going on in terms of SDS. You have to read articles. But, that's a downside to that. But the biggest downside of all, and this is truly, truly sincere. I know you don't believe it when I say that. My really biggest regret is that you meet these great people on council or in other committees, and you just think, oh man, I can just think of so many people, and then the next meeting you see them again, go, let's talk, but you just pass them in the hall because you don't have any time, and that's a real downside. So I'm going to just end with telling you the most important thing that I've learned at 4S, apart from learning how to walk in 6-inch heels, which is good to know for a guy from New Orleans. That's also good. Wait a second, did I do something here? Steve? That's the wrong banquet, buddy. It's not the Halloween banquet, this is the preacher. Just like let's get this out. This is we don't need these guys. Of course, you see me. I'm giving a speech. Yeah, it's getting creepy. Let's just cut all the sound effects. That's enough sound effects, no music. Sergio? Sergio Sismondo?
That's the one.
sound like the editor of the journal. But it's good because I was afraid you were going to reject my paper.
I didn't come here to reject anything. I came here to collect something you promised long ago.
Promise? I don't remember any promise.
Oh, it was 27 years ago today. Beelzebub taught your little band to play. No, seriously. We entered into an agreement. A small deal, not a big deal, a small deal. It was a contract. At the time, we called it a pact.
A pact. I never would have signed anything in blood. I hate blood.
I'm rather acquainted. You watch too many movies. I didn't ask you to sign blood. If it were today, I would just ask you to click. I accept.
I just don't know what you're talking about.
You know. Let's jog your memory a bit. Let's look at the very first budget report before us.
Well, that's the first report, but I just don't. I just don't. What does this mean? I've just been an obedient servant. I've just done what my masters told me to do. I think we've done well, but I think we've worked hard. We've worked very hard.
Dr. Schrum, seriously, do you think that you did all of that by yourself? Do you think really that you're smart enough to have the success before us? Come.
Don't you like my costumes?
I love your costumes. They're so quaint. Sometimes you just love these.
No need to do that. No need to do that at all. Just give me one more chance. One more chance. I will remember, I promise you.
So seriously, what were burnt offerings in that first budget?
Burnt offerings, I mean, they were there, but I don't remember anything about them. 118 burnt offerings. So far as I remember, we never had burnt offerings during my time as secretary.
Offerings, groveling, burnt flames. It's all legalese. It's in the contract. It's just pro forma. Don't worry about that at all. Even the Apple iTunes contract has a burnt offering. As well as a few other clauses I've learned something from. But seriously, it's all just standard and very wrong.
Okay, maybe I signed it after the banquet or something. I don't remember that, but I never got a copy. Is that legal?
Who do you think makes these rules? Yes, you, as treasurer, need to turn over to me 98% of all the earnings for us. Now, before you step down. That's a pretty penny, actually. Or if you prefer, I could take the burnt offerings with interest and say, there must be nearly 400 right in this room. And I could offer this band decaf lattes on a really hot day.
Lucifer? Lucy, if I may. I'm allowed to call her that. I just, if it were me, I would never go back on my word, never. But honestly, you're too late. If I understand the contract, that was before I stepped down, and I stepped down 2 years ago, so I think you're a bit late. We have some new officers now, and they're a little tougher negotiators than me, and I think that we should all have some sympathy for the devil.
myself, I made I've been around for a long, long year. So many days, so away. I was around when Jesus
Alright, so I was thinking around borrow these chairs, like I think the those two are using theirs. So here's the zoom button right here, and then zoom in, of course, is the opposite. You're probably just gonna want to stay out like that, except when Sheila's talking. You'll want to zoom in on her. Okay. But then outside of that, that's all you gotta do. Okay. Does that make sense? Right? It's on. Yep, it's already recording. Oh, it is? Yep. Okay.
So you know about the sorbet course that they serve between meals? I am the sorbet. I don't know whether it's a palate cleanser or a coolant or exactly what it is, but I've been ordered to come up and talk about something that I do actually feel very serious about, and that is the partnership that I had with Wes when I was president, between the moment when he discovered his burnt offerings weren't enough and the moment when he decided that milking these meetings was the way to golden success for the organization. So it was between 1999 and 2000. And before that, I knew that there was this man who was always wandering around looking slightly harried at the end of every meeting, having secret conversations with various people, and I had no idea what he was up to. And then, for my sins, I became president of 4S, and at that point I learned that this was the person who knew all about the inner workings of the society and knew how to bring people together and form committees. And all of the time he said, I was doing all the action and he was doing nothing, but in fact, it was the reverse. So I want to, because of the way this evening began, I want to talk a little bit about the 2000 meeting, the 2001 meeting, which was my second meeting that I hosted together with Wes. We had started planning that for Cambridge, Massachusetts in early 2001. In those days, the meetings were a bit smaller. There were going to be 600 to 800 people present. And the meeting was scheduled for November 1st to November 4th, 2001. And something happened on September 11th that completely changed the blueprint for what was going to happen at the meeting. And I learned at that time what to prize about Wes and also about the program chair, who's not here today, but who many of you know, Hugh Gustafson. I learned about why the English word love does not actually capture the sorts of emotions that a person can have for his colleagues and for his society. The Bengali word darud, which in turn derives from a Persian Islamic root, is the word that captured what Wes has meant for the society. It means something that combines love and care and duty and carefulness and devotion all in one word. And that meeting, also held in the wake of tragedy, was actually one of those affirmations for why we come together in moments of trouble and grief, that the intellectual life does matter, that the kinds of connections we have with each other at occasions like this do matter, and even if the registers in which our appreciation for Wes are expressed are not universally the same, I could not beat the acts we have.
leave yet.
I think it's time for the next act to begin, but I just wanted to say before that next act begins that one of the professional activities I'm most grateful for in my life was the chance to work for 2 years as president of 4S with Professor Wesley Schramm, who was, by the way, for those of you who are in doubt, the man in the red and white striped jacket that was talking here before. So with that, I'm handing over the mic.
All the presidents for you. This is not fun. On the heroin, on the
help him out. Come on up here. So, would you like to explain?
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say we're really sorry how late it was giving this money to you. So we went ahead and doubled it. And this is Elvis bucks, so I think that's what it's for.
There's $1 million in Elvis bucks. That's a movement certificate. Who wants to know awards? That's it.
Well, it's not, it's like a bird offering. So about
Sitting on beds, well, you ain't got enough to motivate my friends about it. Well, you know I'm flat broke, you baby, I don't care. I said I'm fine with the tear in you. Baby, can't run up legs high. Feeling against the door, playing the guy. You know everyone be gone, man. Get my tea in from a garbage can. Oh, yeah. All right, now, let's go. Oh, yeah. Can I take it? Oh, yeah, take it. I took my place chasing no man's opinion. Oh no, sitting again, looking for a fight. And in the moon, you don't know what's on the man. See the blues, I let it get cry. My say can go be one guy. Wish I could be everybody. I can't dance, I can't stop. Oh yeah, I got it. Go get it. glasses. All right, who got boots on tonight?
You keep saying you got something for me. Something you call love, but that's you've been messing where you should be messing. Now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking. That's just what they'll do. One of these days these things are gonna walk all over you. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. You keep losing when you ought to know that. You keep saving when you ought to be changing. Right is right, but you ain't been right yet. These boots are made for walking. That's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you. Take it, Johnny.
Rolling on a river.
Me and Alpine.
Who's feeling good tonight?
Go that way.
Yeah, I live in the
I
town
know.
in the city.
And
Working for me, night and day. And I never long inside the city. Till I don't have river won't clear. Wheels keep on turning. Round, keep on burning. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river.
oh my god, he's smiling.
Rolling on a
Is that
river.
the partner? I think I was down a hairway.
I know.
I like sex down a hairway.